Hello and welcome to Inking on the Fly. My name is Amy Jasper and I have a spanner panel card to share with you today. So this here is what we call a spanner panel card. And the reason it's called that, I'm thinking, is because we have multiple panels and a bridge kind of a thing across the front. I don't know if that's why it's called a spanner because it spans across. I don't know. That's what the interwebs tell me it's called, and I have seen it multiple places, so it's not really a new thing, but I am going to share my version of it. So this one I have used a variety of products that I will explain as I go along. Awesome. Okay, well, let's get started. When you open your kit, if you have a kit from me, you will find a piece of basic gray cardstock. Your basic gray cardstock will already have some cut lines in it, as well as the score line in the middle. I am going to cut my lines for you for the sake of this video, so that when other people who don't have a kit make this card, they can follow along, and when you remake it, you can follow along. So I have my cutting tool. This is my Stampin Up paper trimmer, and I've got my cutting blade ready to go. I'm going to place my paper in here at the 1 1/4 mark over here, 1 1/4, like that. Then I can slide my trimmer down to my score line. I don't even have to measure because I can see where that score line is. And then I just flip it the other way, go back to that same 1 1/4 mark. This time I'm going to start at the score line and go down toward my body here. And then I have my two 1 1/4 inch flaps or panels. So then I can go ahead and fold my card base. I'm going to fold my center flap first. Make sure it's flush with the bottom part of my card base. And then I can fold my side panels, making sure that they line up with my first one and that they're kind of pressed against the seam of the cut of the other of that center panel, just because it can be easy to make such a narrow panel end up being crooked if you're not careful. So we want to make sure that it's flush at the bottom, press it so that it's flush with the other cut, so that those cuts, there's no space between them. And then we have our card base started. Okay, so let's open that whole thing up. And we can put in our middle pieces. I have a piece of basic white cardstock. This is cut to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it's a very narrow border. So that's going to go on the inside of our card. Like that. Again, as always, I love my liquid glue because I can shift things. I have those few seconds to shift things if it's not straight when I first put things down. So the next elements you'll need are 2 pieces of the Pattern Party Designer Series paper. This paper can only be purchased for free as a host reward item. So this paper pack, it comes, you get 48 sheets of beautiful patterned paper. One side is black and white and the other has colors on it and patterns. It's just beautiful paper. So each of these strips is 1 inch by 4 inches, and they're going to go to each side of this white piece. For the inside of our card. And there's the inside done. So easy. Okay, then we can fold down our middle piece. Leave those top pieces up out of the way. Our middle piece also has a piece of basic white cardstock. This one measures 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. And that's going to go in this middle panel. Like that. And on top of that, we have a piece of the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. I like this. It kind of looks like cement or granite, some sort of stone anyways. The other side has a brick pattern on it. So we're going to have the stone side showing, facing up. That's going to go on top in the middle of that center panel. Like that. And we're trucking along. The In Good Taste paper also has quite a few sheets. I'm not sure if it's 40, I think it is 48. It's a lot of paper as well, but that one you can just order it. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, next one. Oh yes, I knew I forgot to gather something. Let me go and grab my banner Pick-a-Punch. 1 second. All right, I have the Banners Pick-a-Punch. It has those 2 different ends that I can punch my paper in. And you can see the dotted lines on these images on the top of the punch. That's indicating that you can use different sizes of paper. So it's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 1 full inch for your banners. And then you have the different sort of levels of paper, and that allows you to slide those banners in, and they're nice and straight when you do that. So I'm going to cut this piece. This is 1 inch. What is this size? 1 inch by 2 3/8 of an inch. And it might be a little tricky to punch it because it is so narrow or so short, but I'm going to do my best without losing it in my punch. I do find that when I use a 1 inch width in this punch, it has to kind of dip. It's hard to see. It has to kind of go under, so it doesn't just go straight in. I have to kind of tuck it under and then slide it. And this piece is quite short, like I said, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. But thankfully, if you got a kit from me, this part's already done. Okay, there. See how short it is? It barely goes. It's yeah, pretty short. So I can punch that. And that leaves me with a finished 2 1/4 inch for length. And that piece I am going to stamp my sentiment on. For my sentiment, I'm going to use a stamp from Enjoy the Moment. It is just this nice happy birthday sentiment. And the reason I chose that is because it fits. So you need a stamp that's going to fit in this banner piece. And having your block ready is good. Mine's not ready. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to stamp that using Poppy Parade ink. So any sentiment that fits on this piece, as long as it leaves enough of a border above and below, because that part is going to be exposed when our card is closed. Awesome. Then this piece is going to attach to our gray panel with whatever adhesive you want to use, but flat directly. I'm going to go about an inch from the top of my card. So about there. I hope that's where I want it, because I'm committed to it. Oh, it's crooked. Let's make it not crooked. I don't know. Okay. Okay, and then we can carry on with the next stage. So then we can put our flaps down, our side panel pieces. And on these pieces, we're going to add, I have 2 pieces of basic white that are cut at 1 1/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. So again, that very narrow border. Oh, my bad. Don't do that yet. Before we do that, we need to attach our window sheet. So we have a piece of window sheet. This is going to create our bridge across the 2 outside panels. So this is just Stampin' Up's window sheet, which is a nice thick acetate. And this one measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. And that's going to go on each side of our panels on the lower sections here. So we need to put this down first because we want our other layers to go over top. So then we can attach our acetate so that it connects with those panels. And that will kind of hold or give that front piece of our card some shape. And these glue marks will hide quite nicely underneath our other layers. Now I can add, my glue's probably dried a little bit. I think it's probably okay. Now I can add those side panels. So again, these are basic white, and they are 4 1/8 by 1 1/8. So those hide the edges of that acetate really nicely. And you can still see it poking out the sides, but it's just part of the card. So then we want more of those panels that I cut. These are 4 by 1 inch, 4 inches by 1 inch. They're going to go on top of those side panels. Like so. Looking lovely. I think this paper is so cheerful. I love this stripy, bright colored paper. It's very lovely. Okay, we're on our way. Next we need, what do we need next? We need our daisies. So here I have some basic white daisies, which I punched with the medium daisy punch. Super cute. I'm going to attach them together in pairs. A little bit more. So attach them together in pairs so that the centers are even, but you have the petals showing up in between. It just gives a fuller look. A fuller flower. Because that's more like what daisies look like, I think. I used to have Shasta daisies in my backyard. The big tall ones, are those Shasta daisies? I don't know. I used to have them in my backyard, and then they got kind of taken over by other plants. Okay, so one of these is going to go right on the acetate on the bottom of our card here. So make sure when you glue that down that the glue is only going to go on the acetate and not come over and stick to your background paper, because that's not what we want. The other one is going to go on this side, and it's going to be parallel with our happy birthday sentiment or banner there. Doesn't matter if it covers up your words a little bit, that's okay. All right, then we can push that aside just for a little bit, and we need to pull together our there's two strips of paper here. I have a basic gray, which is 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/8 of an inch. And then I have another piece, a different pattern, but another piece of that Pattern Party Designer Series paper. So we're going to use the black side. This one measures 1/2 of an inch by 3 1/8 again. So if you have a kit, yours will already be cut on the ends. And you can just go ahead and glue those together. I'm going to glue mine together first, and then I'm going to flag my end with my Banner's Pick-a-Punch. Normally, I don't want to use a punch through 2 layers of paper. I try to avoid that, so you could do one at a time if you're punching this to make this card. But because it's Designer Series paper on top of cardstock, it's not that much more thickness. If it was 2 pieces of cardstock, it'd be a little harder and harder on the punch, but it's Designer Series paper, so it's not that thick. So then I can push that into my Banner's Pick-a-Punch and punch that. And I'm just going to kind of get an idea of my size. I think I did well for size, so that's good. Okay, then I have some letters that I die cut. Now these are on a foam adhesive sheet. So Stampin' Up! Has these foam adhesive sheets, and you peel off the backing of the foam adhesive sheet and stick your paper on, whatever paper you choose, and then you can run it through the die cutting machine with whatever shape you choose. So I just put white, the basic white paper, on an adhesive sheet and cut out my Playful Alphabets letters. Oops, that one's sticky. I took it right off the backing there. So these are the Playful Alphabet dies. That one wants to come off its backing too, so I'll just have to be careful with those ones. Save your O, the center. We're going to use that for the center of one of our daisies, right? I'm clever sometimes. These are all coming off their backings against my wishes. So I'm being careful that those ones won't stick to anything that I don't want them to. But I can start with, let's see, I'll start with the O. I'm going to put the O right tucked to the side of this banner. And you can see with the O that there's part of it, like on this, looking at mine, you can see the top and bottom are a bit of a thinner, they're thinner than the sides. So that's how I know which way to go. If you go this way, it still works, but it doesn't look quite right. So I think the O is intended to be a wide O. But you do it how you like it, because maybe you like it the other way, and that is okay. So I'm going to attach the letter O right to the very end of my banner. And then I can put, let's see, this one didn't have, the backing didn't come off, so I can kind of get I like to lay things out before I stick them down, because I don't want to stick them down wrong. So it's hard to do that when they're sticky. So I'm just kind of getting an idea, a visual here. I guess I can use my other card to help me too. Let's just do this so I can see the other card where I put my letters. That will give me an idea of spacing. Because they're tight together, but they're not super, super tight together. I just want to make sure that they all fit on there. And for some reason, I do find the L's hard to get straight. I don't know why. They always end up crooked. So I'm going to really pay attention and make sure that they're not crooked. That's too close. Too close. So take your time with the letters. Make sure they're straight and where you want them to be. All right, I think I've got my placing down here. Okay, then I have my E. And my H. And they fit great. Okay, good. Whew. So if your H ends up right snug up against there, that's okay too. But I happen to have a little bit of space, so that's works for me. Okay, there we've got our hello. I think my O might be a little crooked. Not too bad. Not enough that I have to do anything about it. Okay, then you have your basic white baker's twine, and this is, I've cut about 14 inches here. So I am going to tie it. So I've wrapped it around the banner and I'm tying it in a knot, a single knot, so that my bow is going to end up at the bottom edge of the banner. Then I can tie my bow. I've got lots of twine to work with. I find that if you keep your knot loose while you're adjusting your length, then you get less twisting with twine like this. Sometimes your bows end up twisting weird, that's why. And then I can take, so I've got a line of baker's twine in between my H and my E. I'm going to just kind of tuck that as close as I can to my H. I can even get away with tucking it under just a tad, maybe. That's pretty good. So then I have my hello already. Looking good. That is going to go right there on my card front. So I just want adhesive under the H. And again, I'm just using my, so up, you can put adhesive up to the baker's twine. And I like my Tombow liquid glue. It's my friend. So then that can go so that the H is pretty much centered with the flower, center of a flower. And then we have a bit of the white showing all around the edges from our panel that's underneath. So this one, this section, it sits out front and it's kind of floating out front. So you want to make sure that you give that enough time. If you're using Tombow liquid glue, make sure that it's actually not going to go anywhere, that it's going to stick really nicely. And then I can trim my tails. I can keep them long, or I think I will follow suit with my other card and have them shorter. Mostly just because I don't want them getting tangled up with that window sheet at the bottom. Okay, then remember that little center of our O that we saved? Our donut hole, if you will, or our timbit, if you know what that is. Dun, dun, dun. Canadians, we know what a timbit is, although I think Tim Hortons got bought out by a company in the US. So maybe the US has Tim Hortons now too. Okay, I'm going to use a sponge dauber and I'm going to just apply some Mango Melody ink to my donut hole here. Give it a little bit of a splash of color. Then I can peel off my backing, pop it in the center of my flower, down there. And see how that's lifting? I don't know why it's doing that. Don't lift. If you get any lifting, and it'll flatten out in an envelope anyways, but if you need to work the paper a little bit to get it to curve or to lay flatter, then you can do that. Okay, we're not done yet. There's one more thing we need to add, and that is the matte black dots. And I have mine have all sorts of things sticking to them because they've been sitting on my table loose and fancy free. So these are going to go, we've got one there, one down here, and a third one up here to finish our card. So there, that's our spanner panel card. So then you can open it and you've got your happy birthday sentiment, and then you open the next panel and you have your personal handwritten note under there. Or you can have another stamped sentiment maybe there as well. And there it is. So that's the spanner panel card. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you will join me again for another one another day. Thanks for watching.